Welcome, Bob. It's wonderful to have you here today. Everyone, this is Bob Christensen. He is the author of two amazing books. The first one, Danish Blood, and the second one, his newest release as well, The Cousins. So, Bob, where did the inspiration for these books come from?
Well, Gaby, it was all to do with COVID, and I think other authors were in the same boat. We're sitting at home here reading more books than what we normally would. And so I was reading a novel by a New Zealand author who had ancestors from Germany. And so I read the book, and I said to myself, I think I could do this. Why don't I do it? And so I did. And I think the book was sitting in there waiting for a key moment, and that was the key moment. So when that happened, all this information just came out from me, within me. It came out and onto the computer, and in a short space of time, I'd written Danish Blood, and it just flowed like water, and was quite invigorating. So that's where it came from. It came from within, obviously, and from another author who is going back and researching his family.
Okay, wow, that's amazing that you saw a book like this and thought, I could do the same thing, and I'm so thrilled for you that it came so easily. I feel like with a lot of these kinds of projects, when you start them, they take a while, and you can get that dreaded writer's block as well. So I'm really happy that it just flowed like water for you. That's fantastic.
Yes, it did. It certainly did. It was over a number of months, less than 6, and it was done. And
wow, less than 6. My goodness.
So I was happy with it, and I must admit the second book didn't flow so quickly. You had to work a bit more on the cousins, but that's okay. That's how it goes. That's expected. You can't have a free ride all the time, can you?
No, definitely not. And I feel that when you have a book that's already been made, so your first book, when it comes to write the second one, you've got to make sure that it works just as well with all the pre-built characters and all the settings. So there's a lot more that goes into it, I think. So also these books are filled with historical details and myths. How did you go about your research for this?
Well, I got quite a bit from my family research. I'm a bit of a historian, and so I've done quite a bit of family research. So that's why it all poured out, because it was all within. Because I'd done about 30 years of family research, and most of it from New Zealand, but also I'd been to England and Denmark, and so it was there within. And then, of course, I Googled a bit, and I went to the library, and also my distant cousins over in England and in Scandinavia and wherever else, they helped a lot too. So it was a mixture. Yeah.
Okay, amazing. So you've spent some time in Denmark and other Scandinavian countries as well then?
Yeah. I've had 2 trips to Denmark, very brief ones, because it's a long way away from New Zealand. We're sort of like distant cousins, both small countries, similar populations, mainly English speaking, obviously, in New Zealand. And so I went over there in Copenhagen. I was only there for a couple of days on a family trip. And so I got the feel of the city. And then where the story is based mainly is on the peninsula, the Jutland Peninsula, or as they say, the Jutland Peninsula. And I stayed in the town of Tarm, Tarm, and that's our family town, as it were, in Denmark. And so I had a good look round and was taken around the area for 2 or 3 days by some local historians. So I got the feel of the place, and I think that's where the first book came from. I could understand how Danes are, and how we would relate to them, etc., and where they fitted in the Europe situation. So yeah, so I have been there twice. Yeah.
So cool. Have you been there since writing the books, like after the whole COVID fiasco, or?
No, not. But I've talked to my distant Danish cousins, and one of them came out to New Zealand recently, and
Cool.
with her husband, and so we spent quite a bit of time together. So that was really good. So I feel I've been there, even though they came to me.
Yeah, they brought Denmark to you. That's wonderful.
Yeah.
Cool. Okay. Well, since Danish Blood and the cousins are connected, they're part of a series. Will there be any more books in the series? And if there are, at what stage of the process are you currently at?
Well, the first answer is yes. I've just finished the manuscript or the draft of the third book. So it's going to be a trilogy. And it's going to be mainly based around the two cousins book, in the sense that the two main characters from that book will continue on in this book. And that book finished around about towards the end of the Second World War. This book, the third book's picking it up and going into the 1950s, mainly in Denmark, but there's a fair bit of the story in New Zealand as well. So yeah, so now I'm very, very busy editing and finding all the little bits and pieces I've missed. Hopefully.
Yes. Yeah, that's a fine art, the editing process. It's very time consuming, but very necessary for sure.
Yeah, that's true.
Oh, so cool. Okay, well, so you obviously like to write historical fiction. What kind of books do you like to read yourself? And also, what are you reading at the moment?
Okay. Well, I like fiction and non-fiction. My fiction books are mainly writers of likes of John le Carre and Len Deighton, the spy novels writers. And so I'm into them in a big way. And also there's a bit of a genre coming out called Scandi Noir, which is Scandinavian-based stories and detective stories. So I'm reading a bit of that. And non-fiction, at the moment I've got a book. I don't know if, can you see that okay?
Yeah, perfect. Yeah.
Yeah, so that book's I'm reading at the moment. Maria Risa, she's a online journalist based in the Philippines, and it's quite a eye-opening book about what's happening in the world today as far as journalism and what you read and who writes it. And so that's what I'm reading at the moment. The other book I'm just about to have a look at is someone from New Zealand.
Love Sam Neill. Okay, that's awesome.
Yeah. So they're the two books that are sort of going at the moment, as it were. Yeah.
Wow. Those are some like heavy reading as well. They're not just those quick little flick through books. You have to really get into them. That's cool.
It was especially the Maria Ressa book. I haven't started on Sam yet, but there's a lot of detail in there because what she's saying is quite controversial. So she has to be obviously pretty sure of her facts and figures. So it's pretty solid reading.
Nice. Well, that will keep you busy, I'm sure, as well, when you're taking a break from the writing process anyway.
Yeah.
So being an author yourself, and you started this whole process with your first book, Danish Blood, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Sorry. Yeah. So that just came. So my advice to people who want to write or thinking about writing their first book is just to write. And because that's how I did it anyway. It just came. It was information within me. And so you can write whatever you like to write. And that's the best thing. It's like most things. If you like something and you enjoy it, do it, whether it's writing or running or arithmetic, doesn't matter which. And then all your past experiences will shape the story or guide you through the story. So just feel free and uninhibited by anything and write. And in some ways, the hardest bit comes later when you have to edit it all.
Oh, yes, I know.
Mm.
Well, that's amazing. I think that, yeah, definitely pulling from your own experiences and your own past is super important to create a story that is cohesive, that has depth, that the characters really speak to you, the setting seems real. So, yeah, that's great advice. Thank you.
Okay, that's okay.
Wonderful. Well, thank you so much for joining me today, Bob. It's been a pleasure talking to you. And everyone, I hope that you get a chance to read both Danish Blood and The Cousins, and we're eagerly up to your third installment, Bob.
Yes, thanks, Gary.
You're welcome.